Hello and welcome to Waylander's Wandering, where today we're going to be attempting the slap chop method. Every other YouTuber has had a go, so I thought it was about time I did too. To begin this, we're going to take our black primed Space Marine and progressively dry brush with going from dark to light grey with Eshin, Dawnstone and Celestra greys from Citadel, and then a final dry brush at the very end with Citadel colour White Scar, just to pick out those very edge highlights, etc. This should prime our miniature ready to get slap chopped, and take a single coat of a Citadel contrast paint, or you could use an army paint, a speed paint. Other paints of a similar ilk are available, and see what sort of result we get, how we feel about that result, and how long it actually takes from this stage to what I would consider to be a finished mini. So we'll start off with taking our Army Painter Masterclass big fat dry brush, dampen it down, get most of the excess liquid off on a piece of tissue, test it on the back of the hand so it feels cool, and then an overbrush with the Eshin Grey. Take a bit onto the end of your brush, using, in my case, my ad hoc texture palette, and using a downward motion, starting top to bottom, we will go over the entire miniature and see what we get. I realise this guy's got an ultramarine symbol on his shoulder already, but I'm going to do him in Blood Angels Red because I don't want to do him as a Smurf. So using an overbrush technique, which will quickly get the grey all over the miniature, like so. Just leaving the dark areas and the very deepest recesses. We'll now move on to Dawnstone, slightly paler grey, not cleaning the brush obviously. Work some Dawnstone with the bristles. How much we're leaving? Maybe a little bit more off there. There we go. And again, quite a heavy dry brush of the Dawnstone, picking up a little bit less of the miniature than we hit with the Eshin Grey. And we have almost completed stage 2. You can of course use fewer passes over with these progressively paler greys. You probably just do the Dawnstone and the Celestra, or the Eshin and Celestra, and then go straight to the white if you really wanted to. Now we'll try the Celestra again, work it into the bristles, get most of the excess off, and working again top to bottom, little overbrush all over the mini. Getting a little less on the fella. And there we go. Okay, now the final stage will be White Scar same brush, same method, work it into the bristles, get as much of the excess off as we can. Let's do it on the back of the hand to see what sort of edge we're leaving. So a little bit lighter, and quite gently with this one lodge a final layer on. This should leave us with 99% of the hard work done. All we need to do now is leave that for a moment or two to cure, and I'll bring you back in when it's time to start with the Blood Angels Red contrast. Now that we've got that dry brushing complete and it is dry, we will start with the contrast paint, working again top to bottom and trying to be careful to only get any particular colour where we actually want it. There will be some overcolouring, obviously, because, well, for one thing, I'm kind of cack-handed. You can use this straight from the pot, as you can see, and put it on neat. But what we don't, while we don't mind it going on heavy, we don't want big puddles of paint. What we'll do is, as quickly as possible, cover all of this over, and yeah, we'll see what it looks like when it's had time to dry. Go under there. Obviously there are no speed paints or contrast paints for metallics, so we'll have to do those separately at the end. I think it should look okay. Tie everything together. The important thing to remember, of course, with these contrast paints is once you put it on, you don't want to be working it too much or for too long. Goodness me, that's heavy. Let's get that off of there and put it somewhere else. So move that off of there. Put it over there instead. There we go. Covering it nicely. As I said, you can put it on heavy, but you really don't want it to be puddling too much. It becomes terrible. And of course that's the drying time. Fingers like that. The other side. The other side of his leg. Okay, once the contrast paint has started to dry in any one area, do not come back to it, because what you will do then is kind of tear the surface, and that will be something that will be impossible to fix. In fact, I would go as far to say you're probably better off starting the whole process from the very beginning again if that happens. So yeah, let's be careful of that, boys and girls. But it's going on quite nicely, and the shadows and highlights are kind of showing through. It looks okay, question mark. Make sure you do keep an eye out for bits that you may have missed. Because, as I said, you don't want to be going back over bits all over again. pleased to know I've kind of lost track of how long this has taken me so far. It's not going to be fun. It does seem to be going quite quickly. I suppose in the long run I could be slower and more careful with this, but the test that I'm doing today is to see how long it takes. So, there we go, that's when the red on. There you go, matey, put red on you. And the red load. Now that we have the red and the yellow parts dry, it's time to come in with contrast black Legion and hit the accordion joints in the elbows, knees, groin, etc. And the parts that are going to end up a metallic colour, so the grenade teeth on the chainsaw and various other bits and bats. So we'll be very careful not to get any of this black onto the red or yellow bits we've already completed, and come in kind of gentle, kind of slow, like I'm describing myself there, and get this black Legion in. Black Legion covers really amazingly well. It's almost as if it's actually just a good black paint rather than a contrast. I would say, or I feel, I should say, it covers better even than the Games Workshop base Abaddon Black. And if anything, it's actually a blacker black. If that makes sense to anybody. It seems this is a cutty in, take your time piece. I'll let you watch for a few seconds longer, and I'll cut and bring you back in when all these black bits are done. Very fiddly, very fiddly. Get this accordion joint done, and then I will cut you off, because I'm not sure that any of you will be able to stand the excitement of watching me very gently adding a black contrast paint to all these tiny little areas, desperately hoping not to get anywhere that shouldn't have black paint on it. Now all that black's had the once over with the black Legion, we will come in and hit all the leather areas, so the holster, the belt and the gubbins on the back of his belt there, with a nice rich brown using Citadel contrast Gore-Grunter fur, and we'll see how we go on with that. This shouldn't take too long because there's not a lot on it, though there is a little bit of snippy snip cutting in to do. So hey, let's do this bit together, shall we? I've got to say, I'm not super pleased with how that yellow bit turned out. It seems to be very flat. But hey, we'll do what we can. And the black, black's very much gone on as if it's just a normal paint and not really left any sort of contrast painty effects anywhere on it, so there's not any real artificial shade and highlight that it's kind of drawn itself anywhere on it, which is something of a shame. Though a paint that will work nicely, and black especially, that'll cover in one go, the way this seems to have done, is going to be a very welcome addition to our painting arsenal nevertheless. And I'm going to have to go over that pistol butt there with the black that I missed on the first pass. Fortunately, it's not really touching any other areas, so it doesn't kind of matter too much that we missed it on the first pass. But hey, first pass, second pass, who cares as long as it gets done, eh guys? This Gorgrunter fur, I'm much preferring the finish on this Gorgrunter fur. It seems to be leaving a nice highlight and a nicely coloured recess there. I would say out of 4 paints so far, the red and the brown have been the best for this more particular paint job. Though to be fair, as I understand it and as we all understand it, contrast paints are much better on kind of more textured, less flat models, so something with a lot of detail on it, like orcs or plague bearers, or anything that's not under large flat panels like a space marine. Anyway, that's the brown done. I will quickly make some black legion onto that pistol butt and bring you back in when it's time to do the metallics. Now we have all that leatherwork finished, which I think you'll agree has had an absolutely lovely finish. And of course I've gone over that pistol butt. That is really good. That is amazingly good. Must remember that and do that again. In fact, not only again, but all the time. That looks great. It's time to come in with the metallics. So the grenade, the teeth and mechanism on the chainsword, I think will be set as a lead belcher, and the chest thing and whatever this is on his forearm, probably the the pommel stone and hilts of his sword will come in with Retributor armor, also from Citadel. And these little metallic bits, the vents on his power pack here and here, I think we'll also do lead belcher. So I'll swap brushes to a tiny one, because there's some tiny bits to do. And we will start with the lead belcher, and since we're doing a slap chop, which is supposed to be super fast, we will try and use it straight from the pot to see what sort of result we get. We'll start with the grenade, being careful not to touch his palm of his hand or his fingers. And then a quick doobie-doo with the lead belcher. Now we'll do his belt buckle. In fact, what we'll do is we'll do this sort of outer area here with the lead belcher, and the same in the outer area that it matches on the other side. Then we can do that round piece in the middle. And the bits where it actually, these little bits here where it actually touches. You can see this little bit here where it touches onto his belt. We will do that in the Retributor armor as well. So we'll come in, moving the model rather than the brush hand. We'll come in sideways onto the chainsaw teeth. Remembering to hit just the teeth and not the red casing bit. come in from the other side, equally careful. Well, that's that now. We have the workings part of the chainsaw, so the motor, I suppose. Very careful not to hit the rail again. Beautiful. And these little vents on the back, as you can see, we are going quite quickly now. Because after all, as I keep telling myself, this is supposed to be a speed painting technique. Must admit though, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am not usually a fan of speed painting. I paint for pleasure, not for banging out armies as fast as possible. I'm literally doing this technique so that I can give a valid opinion on what it looks like in the entire finish. I don't think I would... It's hard to say, actually. I might do it for an army if I needed it quickly. But equally, I don't think I'd be proud of myself if I did. But hey, if you were into tournament play and there are points to be earned for having a fully painted army, you can't beat a technique that allows you to paint a complete miniature start to finish in under half an hour. And if you are batch painting for entire regiments, entire armies, you can probably do a full squad of 10 of these little boys in very short order. I think it would be possible to do a squad of 10 of these batch painted in maybe a couple of hours. Maybe 2.5 hours at most, possibly for a full squad, I think. And the only reason this has taken the time that it's taken is because I'm faffing about waiting for paint to dry, rather than picking up the next miniature and doing that, and then the next miniature and doing that, and so on and so forth. And then by the time you've finished doing a particular technique on all of them, the first one is perfectly dry and you can get on with the next one. And I think you could probably knock out at least a squad every couple of hours. So even if you've only got an hour or two of hobby per night, and then maybe a little bit more at the weekends, I think you could knock out 1,500, 2,000 points worth of army in quite short order. This little thing on his arm. I'm not going to paint the ultramarine thing on his shoulder because, well, look at him, he's not an ultramarine anymore. I don't think I'm going to bother doing the fast attack across his other shoulder. I've done enough to demonstrate how it looks and how the finish works. So quickly get the rest of this gold done. There's not a lot left to do, kids. Wallop, and there, and there. And I held the model out of camera and off camera for pretty much the entire painting of that. I'm so sorry, gentlemen and ladies and anybody else. So all that's left is to dot this guy's eyes, which I'll do now. And I'll even do it on camera so you can see my shaky hands. Okay, I'm going to use Citadel Contrast Eldari Emerald, which is a kind of a turquoisey colour. We will go in and we will just touch this to his eye lenses. So green eye lens works quite well against this yellow, I should think. That's not pretty bad, but not terrible. What we'll do his other eye. There we go, both eye lenses. Nice green eyes, so we can get that to focus. Nice green eyes, the gold is done, everything's finished. So, what do we think? So, my opinion of the slap chop method. Yes, very fast, super quick. As I said in that little waffle while I was doing the metallics and dotting his eyes, I think you could probably do a squad every couple of hours with this technique and everything. What do I think of the individual paint? The red has taken very well. You've got a very nice grimdark look to that red. Very nice indeed. The yellow I'm not so pleased with. I will probably put a Seraphim Sepia wash over it and a quick dry brush of the yellow on top of that. For the results of that, please check out my Instagram, which is Waylander 101. I'll post the pictures in a day or two. I also put some Nuln oil over the metallics just to give that a little bit more depth. But that's it really. I'm particularly pleased with the look of this leather holster. That is simply amazing. That came up so well. The black covers amazingly. This is probably the best black coverage of any black paint that Games Workshop have ever put out. Well done, Citadel, for this Black Legion contrast paint. It covers better than your normal base paint. That's amazing. Metallics are just Games Workshop metallics. I'll be honest with you. When these run out, I'm replacing them with Vallejo metallics because, in all honesty, I think they're better. But yeah, so that's the slap shot technique. Yes, I think it looks pretty effective for the time taken, and all things being equal, I think the slap shot technique looks pretty darn good. Will I be using it for my miniatures? As I said, if I've got stuff to paint fairly quickly, yeah, why not? It looks great. And I'm sure as time goes by, as I become more comfortable with it and better at it, the finish will be more impressive. So yeah, slap chop, boys and girls, gets a thumbs up from the Waylander. In fact, a painty thumbs up for the Waylander. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found the useful, and I hope you find my thoughts on it useful. I'm happy you've stayed to the end. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more things like it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Leave me a comment or check out the description down below and join me on my Discord where we can talk even more. That's enough from me. I've been Waylander. You've been fantastic. I love all your faces. Goodbye.